Imagine for a second that you could just have the best weapon in the game, just for free. You could pick it up right off the ground. It sounds completely unrealistic, like some sort of thing that would be permanently on a private server somewhere. Well, you don't have to imagine it because that's exactly what happened on February 28th, 2019, after an update to old school RuneScape. A 1.2 bill item nearly at the time, just ripe for the picking. At least that's what some players probably thought. I'm the RuneScape historian, and this is the full story of the Twisted Bow debacle in old school RuneScape. The morning of February 28, 2019 brought a few new quality of life updates into the game, such as the Dragon Defender appearing red instead of pink, the Prayer skill guide actually showing prayer icons, the Expert Mining Gloves effect extended to work on Amethyst, and the Ice Demon and Chambers of Xeric got multiple small beneficial changes. There were about 20 other small changes in the other news section of the update notes, but the one that stands out to me is the wreath weighing 5 kg at one point. That's around 11 pounds of just leaves. Not really related to the story, but it's insane. Where the problem arose was a quality of life update to Hespori, the mini-boss creature located inside the farming guild. The Hespori fight works on a basic concept level like the old Jade Vine in pre-EOC where you plant it, it grows up, and then you fight it. This fight takes place inside of a cave inside the farming guild, but going into said cave on a farm run and checking if the Hespori plant was fully grown and ready to fight, only to find out it was not yet grown, could be irritating for those that didn't run farming timers. So, Jagex had this pretty good idea of putting a flower outside of the cave. When the flower was open and fully sprouted, it meant the boss was either ready to fight or that you had forgotten loot inside of there the last time you fought it. Great update in terms of quality of life. Yet, this small little update caused one of the biggest blunders in old school RuneScape history in a sense. The quality of life update drops. Players log in and begin their daily routines. What do most players do on their daily routines? Farm runs. And where do they do some of that? The farming guild. When the first batch of players came through and looked over the wall just outside of the farming guild, they could clearly see a twisted bow just sitting there, being valued at right under 1.2 billion coins at the time. The first players to grab the bow probably thought they had completely lucked out, but after 60 seconds when yet another twisted bow appeared in the exact same spot, it became clear that this was a Jagex employee error and not some random stroke of luck. As a result, continuing to pick up the bows might have put their account in danger. However, there have been a few times in the past where players were able to exploit bugs for gold for short bursts of time, and the gold was never removed and a rollback never took place. Now, these events are few and far between, but they have happened in RuneScape history. One instance that jumps out to me is the Ring of Wealth Court Beast glitch of 2011 that allowed players to stack the Ring of Wealth effect multiple times based on how many people were in loot share, resulting in sigil drops every single kill. It wasn't rolled back, nor was the wealth removed. Therefore, it's somewhat easy to see why some players would hang around and keep collecting the bows, because despite the fact that they were more than likely not going to be able to keep their newly acquired wealth, there was always that very small sliver of chance that they might. To make things even more odd, Iron Men also had the ability to pick the T-bows up because why not? The crowd of players outside of the farming guild attracted even more attention alongside players that were there messaging their buddies about the ordeal, which caused the crowds to grow and the emotions to run even higher. Tacking on, suspicions were at an all-time high due to Mod Jed's corrupt actions less than a year prior and Mod Reach's dismissal following abuse of moderator powers around 2015. Speculation began to run wild and conspiracy theories began to erupt, which essentially all boiled down to Jagex employees are using their power to generate real-life wealth via selling in-game gold, with the conspiracy theorists stating that the Twisted Bow was just yet another example of that.
Alright everybody, this is just a concerned RuneScape player. Okay, a veteran. I'll consider myself a veteran. I've been playing this game since 2005 or 2006. Today is February 28th, and the RuneScape Twisted Bow glitch happened today, and it will go down in history. Okay, it will go down in history. This is just like your fucking climbing boots. This is just like your, I've heard a max cash or a peer glitch ruining something. So, what the fucking fuck?
Jagex had to do something quick to quell the player base, and they did. 32 minutes after the initial update that caused the problem, the Twisted Bow spawn was rendered completely useless. The bow could still be picked up, but it would be instantly deleted from the player's inventory. Just poof, gone. 21 minutes after that, 4 stump objects were placed on top of the bow and right around it, preventing players from picking it up or even telegrabbing it. Before we get into this next part, I'm going to quickly explain a rollback to the very few of you guys watching that might not know what a rollback is. So let's say the game is fine at 1 p.m. for example. I make a big boo-boo and I bring a game-breaking bug into the game at 1:30 p.m. If I do a rollback, I'm going to roll the clock back to when the game was fine at 1 p.m. So everyone that was playing for that 30-minute window between 1 and 1:30 p.m. are going to lose whatever progress they made within that time for the overall health of the game. Jagex's original plan was going to be to avoid doing a rollback and instead hunt down the false twisted bows that players had obtained and delete them. If certain players had already sold or traded off the illegitimate bows, that wealth was also to be removed. This solution sounds like a complete headache, which is probably why they didn't go through with it. 2 hours after the initial update that caused this catastrophe, a 5-minute timer appeared and upon reaching 0 knocked the game offline. A news post then appeared on the home page. Without boring you and reading it word by word, it essentially says, hey, an unknown amount of twisted bows entered the game unfairly based on this bug and we're deciding what to do. 21 minutes after that initial statement on the home page, Jagex comes back and says, hey, we've decided that the game will be rolled back and the whole process is going to take 4 to 6 hours to fully complete. The whole time while this was going on, a vocal minority of the old school RuneScape community via Twitter and Reddit began hunting for blood. They wanted to know how such a colossal blunder could happen, and a few of them even wanted the person responsible to face consequences or at the very least be investigated, as they just couldn't see how this type of thing could happen without corruption of some sort being involved. Mod Ash and a few other J-mods could be seen around this time hilariously fielding angry questions and demands. Probably wasn't too hilarious for them though. Approximately 4 hours after the update first made it into the live game, the game was now back up and had been rolled back to its previous state, thus concluding the whole debacle and marking the second ever rollback in old school RuneScape history behind the coin pouch glitch. But how did all of this happen? Was it truly an inside job as speculated by a few players, or something else entirely? If you guys ever get tired of playing with a red friends list, find your old friends and make new ones at findrsfriends.com. That's findrsfriends.com. Back to the video. According to Mod Matt K, when he was on the OSRS podcast YouTube channel, the mistake happened when a new artist was hired. During this new artist training, one of the more experienced employees was showing the new artist what they should not do and began spawning twisted bows all over the map before the update. Afterwards, the experienced employee deleted all of the twisted bows they had spawned, or so they thought. One twisted bow was left near the farming guild, and when the update hit, this twisted bow spawn made it into the live game. These events were also alluded to by Mod Ash via Twitter, adding even more credibility to the story.
That's where the T-bow came from, bro. The T-bow bush.
Maybe. So,
if
Matt,
you want to know where which came from,
yeah, go for it.
I can tell you where that came from. It's a hilarious story. The poor guy who did it absolutely gutted, and I felt sorry for him. But looking back on it, it's hilarious. And what happened was we had a new artist start. And one of the old artists said, right, okay, here's something that you should never, ever do. So while she was being trained, or he, I can't remember who actually the new artist was, while they were being trained, here's what you should never, ever do, and started spamming the world with T-bows. And so, because if you do that and accidentally leave one map down, it will appear in the main game and people will pick it up. Then he went and deleted them all, or so he thought. And that update happened, and the world the map got dragged into the world, and then the update happened, and then that bow appeared.
As a future precaution, shortly after these events, Jagex moderators made a tool that gives them the value of any ground items near the area. Initially, some players who abused the glitch using various methods such as buying bonds with the illegitimate gold were banned indefinitely. After the rollback, these bans were changed to be only temporary. An interesting fact that I ripped straight from the wiki, thank you wiki, that I wouldn't have known otherwise is that hardcore Ironmen that died during the rollback period were given their status back upon the game coming back up. One weird caveat though is that they are now tracked on the regular Ironman high scores while still keeping their red helmet icon. Exactly 1 year had passed since that fateful day when the old school RuneScape Twitter account posted there was an issue east of the Farming Guild in World 302 and to avoid the area entirely in the meantime. The players of course did not heed the warning, and as they approached the area, a group of J-mods were present and they transformed into twisted bows on the ground as a callback joke to the events exactly 1 year prior. Nowadays, in the old twisted bow spawn location, there's just a twisted bush object to commemorate the event for years to come, showing that Jagex has a sense of humor with regards to some of their past mistakes. And that concludes the story of the free twisted bow debacle. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you want to see more, I'll throw up 4 other great videos available on my channel now. I'm the RuneScape Historian, checking out. Peace, and thank you guys so much for watching.